The crisis that we faced when we formed the government of national unity has largely been economic. And the challenge has been, how do we create conditions to revitalize the economy, which has shrunk by almost 50%.
Sure.
And we put up a blueprint called STEP, the Short-Term Economic Recovery Program.
Right.
Which was a short-term intervention, which was a stabilization. I think as far as stabilization is concerned, I think it's achieved its objective. We now need to move to a second phase, which is how do we increase the productivity of the economy.
Absolutely.
And that requires investment. Business is crying for lines of credit. The government has very little fiscal space. Almost 70% of the government revenue is going towards salaries, and that's unhealthy.
Absolutely.
So what are we doing to create an environment in which we now have a clear policy on what needs to be done in each particular sector? However, when you come to the question of indigenization, you face a lot of misconceptions. Is our citizenship empowerment policy in principle wrong? No.
It is not. Empowerment has been happening around the world.
Practice everywhere. I understand in India you have to have 26% only.
Right.
But it's not about the percentage, it's about the perception. Right. Following the land reform program, which we agreed in principle, but the method
is not what you agree with.
Was disastrous in terms of food output. People have equated the land reform method to the indigenization program.
Right.
In other words, here again, these people are going for expropriation and nationalization.
Absolutely.
Far from it. It is not a nationalization policy. It actually talks about using the commercial transaction in order to access or to participate in a particular Now, when you look at that, another very important thing is that it should be broad-based. And it's not just an elite exercise to enrich a few.
Right, which is the perception outside.
Again, what are the modalities
of how that will be
broad-based participation?
Yeah.
The other thing is that, can you really criminalize investors? If you don't follow this, we'll throw you in jail.
Exactly.
You can't do that.
Okay.
The other thing is that, is it a one-size-fits-all?
No.
You have to make sure that you have sector-by-sector thresholds.
Okay.
So that negotiation has to take place.
So this is a policy in development.
It is a policy in development. In fact, the minister has been given an extra month to go and do these things before he brings back the regulations as revised.
Okay.
And I hope that at the end of the day, it doesn't become as controversial as people want to put it.
And in terms of increasing investor confidence in Zimbabwe, what measures are you, as part of the government, taking to increase investor confidence? Because the perception, as people were pointing out in one plenary session, is that, do you have a working relationship with President Mugabe?
Oh yeah, you see, the thing is that we share the platform. And it's not pretense. It's not just a public relations exercise.
Sure.
It's a genuine interaction between the political leaders.
Okay.
We only hope that that relationship cascades down through the structure so that there's no violence, there's no acrimony and all that. But as far as my working relationship with President Mugabe, I have a role, he has a role. I report to him in terms of what government is doing, because that's what the global political agreement is saying. So politically, we have provided the framework for stability, for peace, and with that, you should be able to create the necessary political confidence. However, on the economy, we have done STEP, we have done stabilization, we've done dollarization. Those are measures that we are doing to provide that confidence. We've created an organ for national healing, reconciliation.
Right.
So we believe these measures should provide sufficient confidence.
One of the measures that will, of course, increase political confidence is, of course, the resolution of who is in power through elections. Is there a probability that we'll have elections in Zimbabwe next year?
It's not even a probability. That thing is going to come. The elections will come.
When will they be, though?
Well, there's no definitive time frame.
Okay, which is a problem, isn't it?
No, the framework is based on a process. The process is that we will have a constitutional process. Hopefully this year, a referendum will be conducted.
Okay.
After the referendum, the president and prime minister will sit down and set the date for elections. So I don't foresee us going beyond next year.
Okay.
Before conducting that election.
Okay. And in terms of attracting foreign investors, what have you seen after all the work that you have put in trying to get foreign investors to come in? How has that been endeavor?
There's still a perception. A very preoccupation with President Mugabe.
Okay.
It has not been that good because people are preoccupied. As long as Mugabe is there, therefore things are not changing. I want to say that there is a transformation process taking place in the country. And people should not look at the individual, they should look at the developments within the country and start seeing. And I want to tell you one thing. Because of dollarization, the perceived risk is actually minimal in terms of return on investment.
Absolutely.
So what is the problem? And as we open up media space, as we open up the democratic space through an independent electoral commission, the Human Rights Commission and all that, that should give people the necessary positive signals. But for the moment, the doubt, I think, is unjustified.